Yes, please. Please be on mute unless you want to speak. All right, so, all right, so let's get started. So today's our lecture two. Before I start, so let's just quickly recap what we covered last week. Um, so we covered the cloud concepts. What is a cloud? What are the components? And we discuss about the agenda, what we're going to be covering, for the next 7 weeks. The basic, the essential cloud services, compute, storage, network, database, security, management, monitoring. Those areas we're going to be covering. And the last lecture will be advanced topics, or if you call it bonus topics that I'm going to be covering. That covers the IAC part, infrastructure as a code, AWS command line, and those areas we'll be covering. And then so we discuss about how was the life before the cloud, what are the major components of a data center, what is a data center, what are the major components of it, and what are the major types of a data center. And then, different infrastructure deployment models. There's one on-prem, there's a hybrid, there's a cloud, and inside the cloud is, single cloud provider or multi-cloud provider, or you call it hybrid cloud provider. Then we discuss about the definition of cloud and, major cloud models. There are 3 of them: IaaS, infrastructure as a service; PaaS, platform as a service; and SaaS, software as a service. And now a new thing which has picked up quite a lot of pace, which is the serverless computing. And then there are specialty models. This is a niche area where organizations, they just focus, or the companies, they just focus on specific area and provide services only on that area, like compliance as a service, or disaster recovery as a service, or database as a service, or any function. Then we discuss about the cloud solutions. It's pretty much everywhere. Wherever you could think of, you will find cloud solution there. Be it from website to web app to telecom, blockchain, startups, government, power utilities, everywhere. Then we did the comparison on cloud providers. There are 3 major players in the game, and then there are several other players out there as well. Amazon still tops the list in the leaderboard. That's the Magic Quadrant, and followed by Microsoft and Google. They are catching up, and there are other players as well. Alibaba is one of them. We do not have much footprint here, or we do not hear more about Alibaba here in US. When you go to the Far East region or India, Pakistan side, you hear more about Alibaba. Then we looked into the AWS services. What are the core services? The compute, storage, network, security, and all those areas, the PPCs, EC2, Route 53, and also, what we're going to be covering is the cost management and the cost calculator, command line tools, and the IAC part that we're going to be covering as an advanced topics. Do not get intimidated by the word advanced topics. They are not complex. They're pretty easy to learn. And if you excel in this area, it's a hot topic these days. So it's very much in demand these days. Then we looked into the AWS Global Infrastructure, how strategically Amazon has put up their regions and availability zones across the globe. They have, you are seeing, several numbers in here on your right hand side. But they have 24 regions and 77 availability zones, and details around that. Then we looked into the how Amazon, names, put a name around their regions and availability zones. The first part uh, is the um, is the region, and then the second part is the availability zone, and then the last character tells uh, what is the AZ number there, or what is the what that AZ stands for, within that, grand scheme of things. We looked into, a couple of examples of their infrastructure. Just remember, these names, if possible, like US East 1A or AP North East 1B, or, there are a couple more examples in here. When we are going to log into the console today, you will see more about that. Or you will get more understanding what does this mean inside the console. This was up until 2018, Amazon had about little over 5,000 services. Now the numbers has gone exponentially. Then we looked into the essential services, what we are going to be covering. That's what we talked about. So today we're going to talk more in depth about the AWS Compute services, which is EC2, and there are storage related services, network and content delivery, security, identity and compliance related, databases, management governance. And then we looked into how the traditional data center on the left hand side, those physical components are translated into software defined or virtual components into the cloud on the right hand side. So every row or every silo has its own counterpart in the cloud. So do not feel left out that, hey, I am seeing router here, but I do not see router there. There is a router. So once we go to the networking services, you will see more. And then, this slide talks about the core infrastructure and core services at each layer in infrastructure, functional services or foundation services, platforms, and then the application layer. We touched upon, actually we did not touch upon AWS Well Architecture Framework. This is what I put up for this class. So I'm gonna just quickly go over this. So there are 5 pillars of AWS Well Architecture Framework. You gotta learn it by heart. Very common exam question and very common interview question as well. If you learn those, understand the working behind those and understand the logic behind those, it is a good icebreaker, and also it is a good conversation point within your team, or maybe with your leadership or with your management. Um, you know, so you can impress them. Hey, this person knows about the those 5 pillars. No matter what cloud provider you work on, Azure has the similar 5 pillars. Google has those similar as well. So what is the purpose of those? So these 5 pillars or the well architected framework, it helps you understand the pros and cons of decision making, or it help you make the decision when you're building a system on AWS. So by using that, you will be learning more about the best practices behind each of the pillar, and that will help you design and operate, and put the security around, introduce the reliability, and also cost effectiveness, that you could leverage in within the cloud or inside the cloud. So what are these 5 is, operational excellence, security, reliability, performance efficiency, and cost optimization. You must have got some understanding that what is the underlying logic behind these, right? Security is that you build the security at every step of the way, and around the entire perimeter. So making sure that your infrastructure in the cloud is secure. It's not penetrable by any external entity. For any If any external entity wanted to penetrate that for any malicious purpose, you have enough security around that. Now, Amazon provides, or any cloud provider, they provide you all the building blocks. They provide you, say, all the Lego blocks. Now you have a stack of Lego blocks there, right? But Amazon does not shove it down your throat. Hey, use this, use this. They give you enough information about, each and every building block, educate you enough so that you will utilize them strategically at the right point and right location to make to build your application, and to secure it, and to cut the or to optimize the cost on them, or to bring the efficiency in the performance of the systems. So the purpose of Amazon is, or any cloud provider, is to provide you all those building blocks, and they are churning out more and more building blocks as they proceed along. So if you go deep, look into those, furthermore, I'm not gonna just, I'm not gonna, drain the slide or read through anything here. Just, we'll go over, we'll pick, a couple of things here and there just to give you guys an understanding. Operational excellence, it helps you make frequent, small, and reversible changes. Instead of just going a big bang, start building small, and then start building around it. Build like a cocoon around that, and keep building it, and then one day you will have your final product right there for you. Anticipate failure, and this is a very common practice. And people actually misjudge that when they embark on any new project or embark on any any task, that hey, it's easy peasy, it's a cakewalk, I'll just breeze through it without any issues. But always keep this in your mind that failure is always there, but do not consider that failure as like, do not consider failure that once you fail, do not feel embarrassed with that, or just lose hope on it. Use the failure as a stepping stone, or for your success. So as they say, failure is a stepping stone for for your success. So learn from your failures, and then get up again, and start building again on it. So Amazon just emphasize on that, and then there are some best practices as well, right? Change is the only constant, so be ready. And this is a common problem with us, and as we age, we get more resistant to change. But we need to understand that change is the only constant. So keeping that in mind. Next one is the security. So implement a strong security identity foundation. Enable the traceability. Traceability is, let's say you have a system, I logged in there, I logged off. So whatever, soon as I enter into your system and the time I left the system, so the entire time I was attached to your system, that all should be logged. So there has to be a logging mechanism, so that if somebody, or if the system, or if you wanted to track back, so what did Faisal do when he logged in, and and why did he log in at that time, right? So traceability should always be there. Number 5 is I'll just pick number 5 is protect data in transit and at rest. This is very important piece. So for any organization, the the most critical component is your data, and it has to be secured. Um, it has to be encrypted. Either it is at rest, that means that data is just sitting there. As an example, like in your laptop or in your server, you have files. So that is the data. Those files are just sitting there. You are not using them. So if they are sitting there, you just need to ensure that that disk is encrypted, so that if the data is encrypted there, so let's say if I break into your system, I will not be able to um, uh, even if I steal those files, I will not be able to make any sense out of the content inside the file, because it will all be a garbage data for me because it's all encrypted. So that's at rest. And then in transit is if the data is moving over the wire or over the Wi-Fi, from one system to another system, or one place to another place, or from one um, a layer to another layer. So just ensure that the encryption is there as well. So you need to protect your data, and in transit and at rest. Okay, next one is the reliability. You need to test your recovery procedures, that you have enough uh, your disaster recovery. In case of a disaster, you are able to recover your system. So there's a question. Yes, Amira, go ahead, please.
Um, I just wanted to confirm that this encryption or security portion is the responsibility of the client who's using AWS tools to build around the system, or is... I'm so sorry, I'm just trying to get the whole
No,
idea.
I get your point. Yeah, I get your point. So um, remember when we looked into the cloud model or shared responsibility model, there was physical components, there was a responsibility of Amazon. So Amazon is responsible of the cloud, and the customer, or let's say you are responsible for in the cloud. So if your application, or let's say your operating system, or your web logic, whatever, it's sitting in the cloud, you are responsible for the security of that. And as I said, that Amazon provides the building blocks. They are offering different encryption mechanisms and different security services. Now it's your responsibility to utilize those capabilities to secure or to encrypt your data. Amazon is not going to come in and encrypt your data. It's your responsibility.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Okay. In the reliability is we need to ensure that our system is reliable enough to not just only cater our business needs, but in case of a disaster, let's say, my office got flooded, and I do not have any data available. What do I do? So I have to plan beforehand for that disaster. So it falls under BCP/DR. BCP stands for business continuity planning slash DR, or disaster recovery. So in case of any disaster, how quickly and how fast can I recover my business operations back to normal? So that comes under the recovery procedures. And sure, those who work in IT currently, or any firm currently, that organizations, they have the DR exercises. At least it depends on how their business is set up. For some, it's every 6 months you have to do a DR test. For some, it's once a year. And there are certain procedures that you have to follow. um, and then automatic recovery from failure. This is a capability in the cloud, that you can automatically recover. Let's say if my site, let's say I have two sites, one is hot and one is cold. Hot means that my customers are connecting to it. If that site goes down, automatically site B takes over. So Amazon provides several tools at different layers, and we're going to be seeing more when we go look into the console and do some lab work and exercises. We will be seeing more that how those recovery and recovery from failure procedures work. Um, and then manage change in automation, stop guessing the capacity. That's the key part of cloud, that it asks you to stop guessing the capacity. Uh, it somewhat falls under the pay-as-you-go model. But that model is, um, I'm going to be paying for whatever the capacity I'm using. Previously, prior to cloud, or even the currently organizations which are not running in the cloud, like they bought 5 servers of 100,000 each. So there's $500,000 investment right there for the next 5 years. Now, if I am using, let's say, 10% of the capacity, or 20% or 90% of the capacity, um, but I have paid the 100% of that already, right? But here in the cloud, you can start small, and whenever the need arises, there are some automatic services. They sense, and you set the logic behind that. That whenever, let's say, the network usage goes up to certain point, increase the capacity, increase the number of instances, or increase the number of web servers. So so that helps stop guessing the capacity. And it's not just only scale out. um, there's a scale back in capability as well. So soon as the demand goes down, it will start scaling back itself again. So these are some of the capabilities within the cloud. Next one is the performance efficiency. Uh, One of the crown jewel for cloud providers is go global in minutes. You can literally in minutes um, you can build up your infrastructure, build up your application and all that, and you can go global. Go global means that let's say you are a Chicago-based company and you have customers in Mumbai and Singapore and Australia and, let's say, South America. So utilizing the capability of the cloud, you can get connected with your customers literally in minutes. So that's the agility and the agility feature of the cloud, that actually brings your application, or time to market is real small, that you could just simply develop that and just push it or publish it, and your business is ready to take the um, your customer, or to start helping your customers out.
Excuse me?
Yes,
On the reliability slide, could you explain the third point, scale horizontally to increase aggregate system availability? I didn't get that. I'm so sorry.
that's okay. I did not. Um, I intentionally, left that point, because we're gonna be discussing in depth about this scale horizontal. So there are two types of scalabilities. One is horizontal, which is like pegging out, that you are beefing up your existing server, like adding additional CPU, adding additional memory, or adding additional storage to it. So you're just beefing up on that. So that's the horizontal, and then there's other one is called the vertical capacity, which is, let's say you have a small server and then you are churning out the similar replicas, of the similar one. So I'm going to talk more when we are going to do the auto scaling, and we will do a lab on that as well, to find out how do we leverage that. So reliability is, let's say, I am thinking that, or my, just to give you an example, let's say I'm running an application and my monitoring system alerted me that my OS disk is reaching the threshold, or has already reached the threshold. Then I'll just have to increase the storage, so that it will start again serving my customers. Um, that's one of the examples for the reliability.
Thank you.
All right. So next one is Cost optimization, there's a consumption model, and there is a cost calculator, and then there's AWS budgets. Also, AWS, Amazon provides you different tools for you to optimize on the cost. As I gave you an example just now, that you invested $500,000 on 5 servers only, and you're gonna live with those servers for the for a straight 5 years. Now, if you use it 1% or if you use it 100%, that's up to you, right? But in this cost optimization is based on my consumption, or another terminology for it is pay as you go model. That if I am going to use it, then I'm going to pay for it. Otherwise, if it is not in use, I do not have to pay for that. So that helps optimize the cost. Plus, Amazon offers couple other tools as well that actually go and scan your environment and looks into it, and then provide you a dashboard. Hey, you know what, you have let's say 5 web servers you created, but you're not utilizing them. You can shut it off. Once you shut it off, you will save this much amount of money. So those are the suggestions also Amazon makes for you if you utilize those capabilities. So with the cost optimization, you do not have to make like several hundred thousand or several thousand or maybe millions and millions of dollars just to build your infrastructure. This is the capability of the cloud that if I'm using it, or if I need it, then I'm going to use it. Otherwise, I'm going to just I'm not going to use it. So I'll just put it aside. And that example which I gave, this number 5 is the same. Use managed services to reduce the cost of ownership, and Amazon actually provides those services, or you can use your own or create your own that could help you optimize on the cost. Okay, so I'm going to pause here before we move on to our today's lecture. Any questions so far? All right. So the material I covered here, those 5 pillars, they are part of today's lecture. So we already started our lecture 2. All right.
Lalita,
So
can you hear me?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to this is my I missed the last lecture, so I did get a summary of what you covered, but I'm still getting the hang of what this cloud computing thing is. I just understand from the little that I know. I'm not sure if I'm understanding correct. Is it a memory thing, like a memory, like in where data is stored?
No, not really. So that is one example. Like Amazon provides you the storage services, which is a big memory bucket that you can utilize to to store your data in it.
Yeah, like the mobiles, you have the cloud settings on. That's how I know the only thing I know.
Yes. So I'm not sure if you had a chance to look into my last week's recording.
Not yet, actually.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, so let's do one thing. I'm going to proceed here, and we're going to be taking a break in about 10-20 minutes. And then during that break, I'll just give you an overview what the cloud service is. Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Perfect. Okay. All right. So we talked about AWS certifications at the tail end of our last week's call. There are foundational services, foundation level certifications, associate, professional, and specialty. So say if you are, let's say if you currently are a DBA and you have an interest in building your expertise in cloud databases, so there is a database specialty. You are in analytics, or you are aspiring to be a data analytics person. You might want to look into the data analytics specialty. So that talks only about in that special area. Let's say you have interest in security, you've been doing security work, or you want it, or you are aspiring to be one, look into this security specialty. Alexa Skill Builder, it's a very interesting one. Maybe I'll see if I could, cover that in our last lecture as an advanced topic. So those of us, who have, the Alexa devices at home, you can go into the developer mode, just to give you a teaser on that. So you can go into the developer mode of that and, put in some of your stuff. Let's say, you put in your text, Alexa will read out for you. Or you can, there are, several examples on that. So let's say you have, one big PDF, you just, put it there, and you can turn Alexa into an e-reader for you. So it will, not e-reader actually, no, Alexa will, read out the content or the book for you. And there are, several other use cases as well. So we'll cover more, as time permits in our, the last lecture. AWS Compute. So before I start, maybe we can take a break of 10 minutes, and then we'll start on that. Okay. So right now it's 7:41, so let's meet at 7:51. Just set the timer here for you guys. Okay. All right, so I think it was Sister Fatima, I guess. She had the question about the cloud.
Yeah, Professor Bhai, before you start, is AWS Compute is going to be a practical or just
I'm gonna go over a couple of slides,
and then okay,
and then we're gonna go into the lab.
Okay.
We will not be able to complete the entire lab today, but
I know. Yeah.
How far can we go there? Yeah.
Sure. No problem. Sure. Thanks.
All right. So yeah, sister, for your question about the cloud. So cloud is basically, in a layman term, accessing the essential compute services over the internet. And what are those essential compute services? One of them is compute. That covers your CPU, your memory or RAM or your storage, and then there's database, and then there are a network or the other security services around that. So utilizing the network, or using the network to access these services, which are transparent to you, that where are they residing at. It could be residing next door, it could be residing next street, or it could be residing across the globe. But with the power of internet, you can access them. Now with those compute, RAM, CPU, and storage, combining that, now you can put your code there, or you can put your website there, or you can whatever the usage you could think of, you can put it up there, and then you or your customers could utilize that services over the internet, and without knowing that where is it residing at. It's up there somewhere. That's the capability, or that's the very basic layman terms definition of the cloud.
So there's so many technologies out there. So what is so great about this one?
What's so great about this one is there are different use cases. One is you do not have to make any upfront cost. You can start using it with zero cost. Which if you do it, if you host it at your own data center or at your own location, it may cost you several thousand or maybe millions of dollars. That's one proposition. Second is it makes time to market real fast. What does it mean? Is if you are building it, if let's say if you have your own data center, so you know you're gonna be purchasing the servers, network gear, security gear, and then you know the human resources to secure that, plus human resources to manage that, and you know and then you know you're gonna be paying for the developers to start developing on it, and then paying the software costs and everything. Um, so instead of getting yourself into that hassle, you utilize all the building blocks which is currently available, and you strategically utilizing those building blocks and those services, and build your application faster. And with that capability, you can reach out to your customers faster than the traditional way of doing it. So that's second use case, and there are several other use cases as well. So that's why cloud is very much in demand. So you see that startups nowadays, pre-cloud era or pre-cloud days, if you look at let's say 20 years back, there were not very many startups because there was no cloud providers there back then. Now, if you see that the startup landscape, you see that startups are popping up like mushroom here and there everywhere, that are utilizing the capability of the cloud. That they do not have to maintain or build their own data center, maintain their own support resources or anything, because cloud provider, they took care of the burden from you. Now you just have to build the application and send it out to the market.
So it requires a language, a programming language to do that, to build stuff?
For some areas, yes, you do require coding skills. For some areas, you do not require any coding skill. Like the compute, which we are going to see today, this is the, like building a virtual machine, like a Windows and a Linux virtual machine or instance, as they call it. That does not require any coding skills. So we're gonna go into the console, we're gonna just click, 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 and get that done. But there is a coding part of it as well, which I mentioned about the IAC, or infrastructure as a code. You just wrote a very small snippet of the code. You hit enter or you push it, and in the backend, it is going to go into your AWS account and build the entire infrastructure for you. So whatever you're gonna see and what we're gonna do in the console, clicking different location, writing some small code, you can do that as well. But if you do not know coding, or if you do not have any interest in coding, you can still build your career in the cloud. It's not mandatory to be knowing coding, but if you know coding, that will make life a bit easier for you, so that you can automate things. You can write some scripts to automate stuff, or you can write your own application instead of hiring someone. I hope I answered your question, sister.
I'm getting the hang. I'm getting an understanding of it, and I'm still curious to know
Sure.
what it is. But I'm just wondering that it's kind of it's compatible with other platforms, languages, and it has its own framework of infrastructure, database, and everything.
Yes. Yes.
If I'm
Yes,
correct.
exactly. So these are exactly. So these are all the capabilities that are provided by the by this cloud provider. If I go back to the slide here, so and I uploaded this last week's slide already to our Google Drive, and today's slide I'm going to be uploading it there as well. So you see all these services here. So AWS Compute services. So it offers this many services. These are the virtual servers in the cloud, or these are the auto scaling capabilities into the cloud. If I go to the storage, so there are several different types of storages available in the cloud. If I go to databases, so several different type of databases are available in the cloud. Like MySQL is not the only database which is available. There are PostgreSQL and other available. Same goes with only SQL Server is not available, but also the Oracle database plus Amazon has its own database capability available. Amazon build their own database, and they offer that services there as well. These are the relation databases, and then there are non-relation databases and other different types as well. So you see that management and governance, the monitoring services, which is called cloud services, auto scaling services, which one of the sister asked me about, the that reliability question. That's what it takes care of, that it expands, like adds the capacity, and then it tracks back to the original state. So that's why, and this is all automatic. You put the logic behind that, and it does automatic work for you. So these are all the services. These are some of the services which I was showing. There are several services out there which you utilize to get the work done.
Thank you. You've intrigued my interest.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I would suggest to go through the YouTube video which I sent out for our last week, and also go through the slides. If you still have any questions, you have my email address. Just drop me an email and I'll be happy to answer those, or you can ask questions during the class.
Thanks. Will do. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna be needing a couple more minutes from you guys. If I just set the timer, maybe for 2 minutes, and I'll be back in 2 minutes. Are you guys okay with that? 2 more minutes break?
Yeah, of course, you need water.
All right. Thank you. I'll be back in 2 minutes. All right. All right, I'm back. So are you guys ready to start?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. I'm sorry I didn't check the chat. There were a couple of questions. Um, Maybe I'll cover those at the end of this class. Okay. All right, so AWS Compute. What is a compute? So compute is like yours and my laptop or machine or desktop or any server, any machine that has the capability to provide the any machine that provides the capability of computing. Um, so Amazon also offers that, and this is one of the base services which Amazon uh, offered when they started out. Is there a question? All right, so I'm gonna mute you.
Please, everybody mute.
Okay. All right, so if you are not talking, please, if you do not have any question, please mute yourself. All right, so Amazon offers that, compute capability, which is a virtual machine, into the cloud, or Amazon calls it instance. So going forward, I'm gonna be referring it with a word instance. So what do they call it? Amazon calls the compute services as EC2. EC2 is Elastic Compute Cloud. It provides, the capability to install. Up until this summer, Amazon was offering two operating systems to install on, those EC2 instances. One was the Linux operating system with different flavors, Red Hat, Ubuntu, and whatever and whatnot. And the other one was Windows operating system. And late summer, they started offering Mac OS as well. So you can build a virtual machine or an instance using the Mac operating system. So what are the types of instances? There are 5 major types. Mostly, four of them, they are very much in demand or very, very commonly used. Let's put it this way. One of them is called, the first one is called the on-demand instances. On-demand is that I needed an instance of, let's say I needed a Linux machine or a Windows server. I can just simply go in using that on-demand services and just build that instance right there. So it's on demand. It's readily available for me to to be built right there. There are different pricing models for that, and we're gonna be seeing in our coming slides. Next one is the spot instance, and the third one is the reserve instance. Then dedicated instance, and then there is a dedicated host. So what are these, what are their definitions? What services are they offering? What capabilities are they offering? And what is their pricing model? How do they differentiate from each other? Um, so we'll see in this next slide here. So on-demand instances are, you pay by the hour or by the second. Let's say you have a Linux instance. If I'm using it, let's say if it is powered on, then as soon as it's powered on, the clock starts ticking, and then the meter starts running for that. Let's say I ran it for, let's say, 90 seconds, and then I shut it off or shut it down, then I will be paying for those 90 seconds only. For Windows instances, it's roll up to the next hour. So let's say I ran it for, let's say, 59 minutes, I will be paying for an hour of that Windows instance. So on demand is as a need basis or pay as you go type model. If I need it, I powered it on, and whatever the amount of time I used it for, I'm gonna pay for that. The next one is the reserved instance. What is a reserved instance? Is that I reserved it for a certain amount of time. So that instance will be reserved for me. Nobody will be using it. Now, let's say I reserve it for, let's say, 1 year, or let's say 2 years or 3 years, whatever the time period I used it for. So that instance will be, and I will be, I will be paying for it for that, specific amount of time. Let's say I reserve it for a 1 year, so I can pay upfront and get some discounts, or I can pay a smaller amount of money upfront, and then remainder I will be paying, on a payment basis. That I will be getting a lesser, lesser percentage of discounts. But let's say I paid upfront, so upfront I paid for it. Now, if I use it, or if I just, if I use it like, like 100% of the time, or if I just kept it aside and it's sitting there collecting dust, uh, but the amount of money, that will be charged for that, um, uh, you know, in a way that that I paid, the upfront on that. So that's the difference between the on-demand and the reserve. So on-demand is one of the priciest model of the pricing side. Then the reserve instance, it gives you discounts because Amazon knows that they have whatever the available capacity, and my organization, we liked it or we wanted it, we paid upfront, and now just it is sitting with us. It's up to us how we are going to utilize it, or however many hours or minutes I know I'm going to utilize it. This is up to me. Next one is the schedule instance, that I schedule it according to my need. Otherwise, once the schedule is over, that instance is gone. Next one is the Spark instance. So Spark instance is like you bid on that instance. So what happened is, let's say Amazon has like tons and tons of servers. Not every server is running at 100% capacity. Not every server has, those instances running all the time. So whatever the available capacity on those servers, so Amazon, what it does is kind of an eBay type approach, that they put it up there. But eBay is like for selling, but this is for you are bidding on it. And let's say if I put a bid on let's say 24 CPU by 128 gig of RAM instance. Let's say let's say Amazon has put a price there, for example, 20 cents an hour, and I put a bid for, let's say, 21 cents an hour. Amazon gave it to me, and then I'm gonna start using it. As soon as someone else outbid me, then previously Amazon used to just yank it out from me, but now they give me certain number of time, like certain minutes or seconds, so that I could shut down my application smoothly, and then Amazon will just yank it away from me. So Spot instance is mainly that you bid on the on the unused capacity or unused instances. And then there is a dedicated instance that you pay by the hour, and it runs on single tenant. So what is a tenant? I'm going to come to it in a bit. And then the next one is the last one is the dedicated host. Let's say I have an application. Let's say I wanted to keep it secure, and I don't want it to be I don't want any other tenant to be residing residing with that. So I just reserve the host. It's like a physical server that no one else is utilizing it. This is at my own disposal, and I do not have any other tenant sitting into it, so I can just have a secure server. I know that my application is that it cannot withstand any other tenant with me, so I can go with the dedicated host. Now, the point about the tenant is, let me just go to this. So let's say we have this physical server. Okay. In that physical server, we how the virtualization works is, we have, let me go to this here. So we have a hypervisor running, and it's a very lightweight, a very small operating system. And then on top of that hypervisor, we can have multiple uh, virtual servers running on top of it. So it could be a Linux one, it could be a Windows one, or it could be another Linux server. It could be, let's say Mac, not Mac. Let's say it could be another Linux server. We have like multiple Linux servers running. So now in this physical server, so we have um, the sorry the hypervisor layer, which is running at the bottom. And then, this one, the first instance could be, let's say, tenant one. Okay. And let's say this one is, let's say, tenant two. Let's say this one is also tenant two, and this one is, let's say, tenant one. Sorry, tenant one, and let's say this is tenant three. So what is a tenant? The tenant is, it could be an organization, or it could be an individual, or it could be any unit within an organization. Let's take an example. Let's say, this tenant one could be, let's say, Walmart. So Walmart may have, one and then two instances running, and along with Walmart, let's say, tenant two is Target. Let's say tenant three is Nike. So, different organizations have their, virtual machines residing on a physical server. One is, retail shop. Another one is a, any other specialty shop. Third one could be a fashion shop. Fourth one could be a newspaper. Could be anything. Could be any organization or any business unit. So the beauty of virtualization here is no two tenant, no, like if two tenants are residing next to each other, they would not know who my tenant is, or who is my neighbor. My neighbor could be anyone, but with the virtualization, how the segregation is done at the virtualization layer, that no two virtual machines, let's say these two virtual machines, they would not know each other, who is residing next to them. So that's the security layer of the virtualization, and they are called tenants here. Now, if I go back here, so dedicated instance means you pay by the hour that runs on single tenant hardware. So you are paying for it, and let's say you have this here. Sorry, come on. You have a physical server, and then you have this hypervisor layer, which is maintained by Amazon. And then on top of it, let's say I bought one, I bought one dedicated instance here. So my dedicated instance is residing here, and I will not have any other uh, tenant with me. That's the that's the capability, or that's the beauty of that. You pay some extra money for that because the rest of the capacity will be just sitting there, doing nothing. But you will not. The cloud provider rests assure you that you will not have any other neighbor sitting with you. Any questions so far on up to this point?
What is hypervisor?
What is hypervisor? Okay, let's hold off this question, and I'll try to answer that at the end of this call. Okay. All right. Any other question?
Just for better visualization, if you don't mind me asking, um, are we still talking about the space given to a tenant in terms of, I think I don't want to use the word memory, but reserved for their computing purposes.
Yeah, so, okay, let me come back in here. Give me 1 second.
I mean, I understood the part that, that Amazon is reserving maybe an operating system set up for, say, a company or a unit, or as you just mentioned, a department in a company probably. But
Yeah.
so especially the dedicated host, so that memory or that total, you can say, capacity is reserved for that host.
Yes. So let's say this is 24 CPU by, let's say, 128 gig of RAM. Okay, let's say this is a box. If I am getting this entire box is like it does not have anything else, no tenant or nothing running on it, then this is a dedicated host, which I am going to get, which is this piece here. Sorry. So dedicated host is no tenant and no virtualized. So the entire physical server is allocated to me. Okay. Now, if I have a hypervisor running, it's a small piece of operating system that gives you the capability to run several virtual machines on top of it. Okay. So let's say out of those 24 CPU by 128 gig, normally hypervisors, that operating system that takes a very smaller amount. Normally it takes like um, 1 CPU by, let's say, 1 GB of memory. So out of these 24 CPU by 128, this 1 CPU and 1 GB of memory is dedicated to this hypervisor. So what is remaining, or what is left for me, is 23 CPU by 127 gig of memory. So now if I go with this dedicated instance here, I can have my instance, it could be of any size up to a maximum of 23 by 127. Okay, so that's the dedicated instance. So I can have any size. Let's say I build this one with 23 by 127. So this entire capacity here, this is assigned to this instance for me. Okay, this is the dedicated instance. Now, let's say on-demand instances, as I mentioned, as I gave you the example of, Walmart and, Target and all that. So let's say, there are 3 instances running. Let's say this instance is, for example, 1 by 4. Okay, let's say this one is 20 by 120. Okay, and let's say this one is 2 by 4. Okay, so if I add these 3 up here, is 1 by 4 means like 1 CPU and 4 gig of RAM, and 20 by 120 is 20 CPU and 120 gig of RAM. So if I add them up, so they cannot go beyond this number here. Why? Because out of this total capacity, I have this much is set aside for the hypervisor or as a payload, and then the remainder of the capacity I can distribute across these instances. And these instances could be any organization which is using it. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, sure. Okay. Any other question? I know that this may be looking or it may be confusing you, but when we go into the console, or but when, and also, I'll be showing you a couple of, Amazon documents that will make things, more clear to you guys. Okay. Next one is the EC2 define. A couple of bullet points here. It gives you the resizable compute capacity, which is the elastic nature. What is that? That is, let's say I do not have that. So let's say I have only these two instances here, and my team started complaining, hey, this server is acting weird, and when they look into the the monitoring results, find out that CPU is running 100% and memory is also 98% full. So what we can do is we can just simply increase the capacity. Let's say we can just double up the capacity. Let's say we made it like 2 by 14, and we can do it right there. We do not have to purchase any physical RAM or physical CPU. It's just, go into the console and simply just change the type. Once we change the type, let's say, from 1 by 4 to 2 by 14 right there. We do not, at times, we do not even have to restart it, and then application will just pick it up from there. So this is how we increase the capacity right there. Now, increasing the capacity within that one machine, let's say find out that, hey, you know what, we need more capacity there. So we change it from 2 to, let's say, 6 CPU and leave the 14 gig of RAM as is. So we increase the number of, now we are increasing within the same virtual machine. This is called the horizontal capacity increase, or pigging out. So you're just filling it in. So I can keep on filling it in until I utilize the entire the capacity here, which is 23 by 127. Okay. So that's the resizable compute capacity. And also we can do let's say we were running 2 by 14, and then we check the capacity, or Amazon alerted us that, hey, you know what, you have 14 gig of RAM on this instance, but you are only utilizing 4 gig. So if you cut down those 10 gigs or maybe 9 gigs, you will save this much amount of money. So that's Amazon's recommendation. And also you can use the automation behind that, that soon as the capacity goes down, or let's say the memory, or let's say CPU utilization goes down up to a certain number, just shared number of CPUs or shared number of the extra CPUs or extra RAM. So that will cut down your capacity, or sorry, your cost as well. And that is the fifth pillar of the well-architected framework, which is the cost optimization. Okay. Next one is the the complete control of resources. You have a complete control on that. I can turn it off, turn it on, whatever the OS I want to install, whatever the size I wanted to pick, whichever the region I wanted to pick. So I have the complete control over that. Let's say my office, my head office is in Chicago, but my my developers are, let's say they are in Indonesia. So why do I create any instance in Chicago or in the North Virginia region, which will be, it will be a round trip time, a longer round trip time for those resources. So, why don't I build something closer to them, closer to Indonesia? So, I have, those type of controls, which, we can plan accordingly when we are, when we go deploy, into the cloud. And then, scale the capacity as your computing requirement changes, right? So you can scale up or scale down, or, you can scale horizontally, or sorry, vertically, or you can scale back. Pay only for the capacity that you use, as a pay-as-you-go model, that's the thing. Okay, this is the EC2 instance lifecycle. I'm going to hold off to it. I'm going to come to it once we go into the lab work. Okay, so this tells how the EC2 instance lifecycle works. All right, so what are the EC2 instance types? Amazon provides different types of EC2 instances. For the foundation exam, you do not have to remember that. Maybe for interview, you might, they may ask you questions, here and there around that. Or if you are working in an organization in the cloud, this may be helpful for you. Although right now I'm showing 5 of them, there are more. 5, the very common one. The first one is the general purpose. So general purpose is ideal for any general purpose work, like your web servers, your database servers, or any web application, or whatever you want to install. So it's just the general purpose. Then there is a compute optimized. Compute optimized is ideal for, or it is mainly optimized for compute intensive application. What is compute? Like CPU intensive applications. So it could be the batch processing or video encoding or video editing, or it could be anything which requires more CPU power than memory. So you can choose the compute optimized ones. Then there are memory optimized one, like they have more RAM or robust, or some speedy RAM, or some high throughput RAMs capabilities available. What are those being used for? Like high performance databases, or distributed web services, or there are some in-memory services or in-memory databases currently, or in-memory applications that totally runs inside the RAM. They do not require any storage or anything. You just dump the entire application into the memory. Let's say you have like 1 terabits of memory, or 2 terabytes, or let's say 500 gigs of memory, where you have the entire database running. So it makes it real fast, or real time, or the big data analytics you can perform with that. Then there are accelerated computing that are ideal for rather machine learning or any graphic intensive applications. So these are mainly optimized on the graphic side or GPU side, or gaming. Gaming, you want to run some gaming there, so you're gonna opt for this type of instances. Then there are storage optimized, like they may not have bigger CPU or RAM footprint, but they have a bigger storage there. Bigger storage is for some NoSQL databases that require large amount of storages, or some data warehousing that you are running or building. So that's these are some of the use cases for that. This previous slide and this slide, pretty much the same thing. And then there are some general purpose. The Amazon name them differently, and you will see in the console when you go in there, like T2 or M, T series or M series, or C series or X series, or H series or D series. So these are some of them P series. The common one for the free tier account for you guys is T2 Micro, and you guys will learn it by heart in coming days, because we're going to be doing very extensive lab works on that. So there is a T type, and the 2 means it's a second generation. There was T1, it is now replaced with T2. They may have some powerful CPU, or maybe some extra memory that Amazon has introduced. So these are some of those. You do not have to remember them all, but the more you practice, the more you spend time in the console, you will learn more about those. Okay, the pricing model, as I mentioned, the on-demand is you pay by the hour or by the second, depending on what type of instance you are running. Okay, it does not require any long-term commitment, like 1 year or 3 year or 5 year, or X number of months type commitment. It does not require that. On-demand is right there. I can use it right now. Once I'm done with my work, I can just simply shut down and just walk away and pay for whatever the capacity I use. So no, there's no long-term commitment on that. On the other side, spot instances are as I mentioned, like you bid on that, and once you win the bid, you utilize it, but you do not run um, any dedicated for workload onto the spot instances, because the next moment whoever outbids you, Amazon will just yank out that capacity from you or that instance from you and pass it on to the other one. So it is for ad hoc type work. Let's say you have some batch processing running. Let's say you are working in a financial organization that runs your let's say your payroll, and that requires some crazy amount of processing and printing and all that every let's say every 2 weeks. So you pick a Spot instance, use that for that payroll processing, and then if even if anybody takes it away, you can just switch the workload over to the other instance, and get the processing complete. Or let's say you have month end or financial close that requires a lot of batch processing, or running some processes to collect the data from here and there. Or let's say these are some of the examples, so for which you can use these Spot instances for. Amazon sells it for up to 90% off. So that is one of the attraction for for organizations. Hey, why do I need a dedicated one for the for the workload that can withstand any outages or any interruption or disruptions into the processing? So why not I just go for a Spot instance, and I'm going to be just paying the 10% of the actual cost. So it's a very slash prices there. Okay. Next one is the reserve instance. You reserve the instance and you may get up to 75% discount. That's another alluring factor by Amazon. But you need to commit up to between 1 and 3 years. So the longer the commitment, um, the better the discount you're gonna get. The next one is the dedicated host. Same thing, you can be it can be purchased as a reservation, and you can get up to 70% discounts there. That server, that host is dedicated for you. Mainly either your application cannot withstand any tenant, or you have some security concerns and you don't want anyone else to be near to your application, so you can opt for dedicated host. All right, so AWS free tier setup. I'll just come to it in a bit. Okay, yeah. Then next one is about the AWS keys and security group that we are going to do a lab, and then we're going to launch the AWS instance. This is all lab work. AWS key setup, security group. We're going to be setting up instances. Okay, so I'm going to come to that. Okay, AWS free tier setup. How many of us have not set up or do not have AWS free tier account? Maybe raise your hand here and I'll just get an idea. Okay, so out of 17 people, 11 of us, or actually 12 of us, do not have set up. Yes, have the population does not have a free tier. Okay, you can lower your hand. Now my next question is, did you receive my email regarding how to set up a free tier account? Okay. All right, so what we're gonna do is, okay, so yeah, so we have people, those who received that. My question is, um, I mean, I can show you the console on my machine, and we're gonna go set up our SSH keys and security group um, with a promise from you guys that come next class, you all will have the free tier setup. If you still run into issues, just reach out to me and I'll help you out setting up the free tier. One thing people are afraid of is if it is a free tier, why Amazon is asking my credit card number. There's a reason behind. One is, let's say you have a service running and you left it running for a longer period and you forgot to shut it down, then Amazon is gonna charge, and those charges are gonna go to your credit card. So Amazon, it is not going to charge you for anything that you are not using. Let's say you set up a free tier account, you left it and you did not even touch. You logged in once, you did not do anything on it, like you did not create an instance or anything, and let it sit there for 6 months, you will incur zero charges. You let it sit for 12 months, you'll incur zero charges. That's the guarantee by Amazon, that they're not gonna charge you for anything that you did not you did not use. And they have a very extensive budgeting setup, and the monitoring setup, and also logging setup, which shows you that your account is intact and nobody's using it. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over the console with the promise that you guys will set up your free tier account. Okay, because going forward, we're gonna be spending more times in the console and doing a hands-on work than than me running all these slide decks. So whatever I tell you in the slide decks, at times things do not um, make any sense, or until you go see that into the console. So once you see in the console, oh, this is what Faisal was talking about. Oh, this is what we saw in the slide deck. Oh, this is, so then you start putting things into perspective. Okay, so I'm going to go into the console and I'll show you guys around, and come next class, or maybe how about this? How about I set up an office hour for this coming Sunday, and I'll go over whoever is running into an issue setting up their free tier account. I'll go over questions with you guys. So let me ask you this. How about, come on, calendar.
Was it covered in the last class?
No, the free tier account, no, it was not. Excuse me.
Faisal, I have just a quick question for you. The instructions you gave us as far as setting it up were a little bit different than what we were actually supposed to do. Is that intentional, or was that?
No, it was not intentional. So that screenshot might be outdated, but the base principle is same. The screenshot, I believe I created like 2-3 years ago, but the base principle is same. Yeah, the screen, the UI may be different. So if you're having trouble in that, so how about this? How about Sunday? Sunday 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Chicago time. Sunday, which is 14th of Feb. Would that work for you guys? And I'll send the meeting invite to this entire group here. Sunday 14th Feb, 1 to 2 p.m. So this will be our office hours. Sunday 14th, 1 to 2 p.m. Chicago time. Please let me know if this time does not work for you. If you let me know now, that would be great, and then I'll just rearrange that accordingly. I know people here in US, they might not have any problem, but people outside US or Canada, if they have any problem, people in yeah. Go ahead.
Would you mind if I just ask one thing? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't see that portion earlier. Now I just noticed the instructions are there. But it's just that my daughter is doing it as well. She's on the page where the card is. But the type, are we supposed to click on the types of offer, which is always free, 12 months free or trials?
Yes. Yeah, free.
Always free. Okay.
Yes. Click on the free one. Yes. Do not click on business. Do not click on enterprise. Do not click on personal. Click on free. Okay. I see some hands. Yeah, hands raised here. Okay, let me see. Imtiaz bhai, do you have any question? Okay.
No. I think
Okay.
pushed it
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
All right. Sister Shamim, do you have any question? I see your hand raised here.
Oh, no, I didn't raise the hand, but yet I don't have any questions at the minute.
Okay. All right. Let me lower
Sorry.
your hand here. No problem.
Yeah.
Sister Fatima, do you have any question?
Okay, I think it was from the previous question.
Ah,
That's why
okay.
we all have this. But there's also, I was looking at the email. You also said download the putty or whatever is how it's pronounced. Is that
Yes.
also need to be done?
Okay. What OS is in your laptop? Do you have Windows running or Mac
Windows.
OS? Windows
Win-
running. Okay. Yes. So download the putty, and I was told that some of the people reported back to me that the link was not working. Maybe I'll send an email to you guys later tonight with the updated link, or maybe I'll just download putty and upload to our Google Drive so that you can download from there.
It's there are two. There's putty and there's putty general or whatever.
Putty,
So
yes,
they're
exactly.
two different or one.
Yeah, they're two different ones.
So we need to install both of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I see Heather, you raised your hand. You have any question, Heather?
Yeah, just quickly. For the initial sign-in, it gets you to sign in 3 different times. The first time has you choose as a root user or an IAM user. Do we need to set up both of those or just a root user?
Just root user is fine. And then, once we go to the lab of IAM, then we'll create some IAM users.
I see. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Alrighty. For the next 20 minutes, I'm gonna show you guys around in the console. And okay, so this is let me sign out here and just log back in. Yes, go ahead. Okay. All right. So to log into the console is console.aws.amazon.com. Let me just.
कहाँ से आता है ये hooks था
Okay, I'm gonna paste it here, the URL. Come on, okay. So HTTPS console.aws.amazon.com. So I'm gonna just log in there. It will, so This is how you're gonna see. So it will show you root user, what Heather was asking, and then IAM user. So just log in with root user. You do not need IAM user. We're gonna in one of the IAM labs, we're gonna create IAM users and we'll try to log in, with that user. Okay, so you will not have this MFA enabled. That's what we're gonna do in our next class. And once you provide the password, it would have logged you in. Okay, those who have the already have the free tier account set up. So once I create that, so once I provide my credentials, this is what you must be seeing. If you are seeing anything different, please unmute and let me know. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, go ahead, Imtiaz bhai.
No, that's the screen we see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Alrighty. So here, this is the AWS Management Console. We're gonna be spending crazy amount of time in the console. Okay, in coming days, or maybe the from now until the rest of the session. Okay. Here you see a couple of things. AWS services, recently visited services. I recently visited, a couple of them. So whatever I visit, so it just, shows me up here. And then there's all services. If I drop down, so these are all the services Amazon is currently offering. You see that, list is huge. How Amazon does is, there is a compute service. Underneath is there is EC2, Lightsail, Lambda, and several other. And then, custom enablement, there are several here. Machine learning, look at the huge list here. Then database, the RDS, Dynamo, Elastic Cache, and several other here. So these are, tons and tons of services. If I have to teach you all these services, it will take at least 6 to 12 months, maybe more. So my main intent here is to get you guys comfortable with the console and with the essential services, but the work doesn't stop here. I want you guys to explore more, be curious, try to go into, let's say, this EMR service, what it does, or trusted advisor, click on it, go into it and read about it or read through it. Hey, what does it do? Okay, what it is offering me. There are, several documents available by Amazon for each services. And even if, those documents not making any sense, you can message me. I'll be able to answer those, or there's a fair chance that I may not have even worked on that service. You can simply Google that, or not Google, maybe YouTube it. So pretty much about every service you will see tons and tons of videos in YouTube. So you can go YouTube it, and it will give you some understanding. Maybe your organization is asking, hey, this is new service we are hearing about, everybody is going for it, can you do some research on that? So you can just pick it up and then run with it. So these type of things that are going to help you out in that. Okay. There are some recommendations. Okay. RDS public snapshot. I do not have any 0. Okay. All right. So how do I go back? So I'm going to click on this Amazon on my top left side. I can click on it. It will take me back in here, or I can click on services here, and it will show me all these services here. Okay. Before I go to anything on EC2, couple of things here. This is a search box here. You can search for any service name. Let's say I wanted to, let's say I am not able to find any service out of all these, tons and tons of services. So I just simply type the name of the service. It will tell me, oh, there's a VPC. This is what I was looking for. So VPC service is there, and then there's AWS Firewall Manager, and several other services related to that. Or there are some features available. Some documentation is available about that as well. So I can just simply, go in there, and this icon here, that means that this page is going to open it's not going to open in here. It's going to open in a new tab. So this is a new tab icon here. So if I click on it, see it opened a new tab, and it showed me that this is the AWS VPC service, and it is telling me about all those details. For the cost, it telling me I need to go to the Amazon pricing calculator, or I can go to the EC2 or VPC pricing, and it tells me about the pricing details as well. Okay, with some examples. I'm going to go back to my first tab in here. So that's another way of finding the service. There are some services, they run native to this page. Like if I click on it, so it will open in here. But if I click on Lightsail, you see that, remember this icon, excuse me, this icon. If I click on it, this Lightsail service will open in a new tab. Okay. All right. On my right hand side, I see a bell icon. These are the notifications, and there is a Cloud Shell. Amazon recently added that. It was not there until last summer. Azure already has it. So if I just click on it, it will give me the Cloud Shell console. So once we are going to do the command line or the CLI services, we're gonna look into it in more detail. Okay. All right. So next to it is the notification, and then next to that you see my name. So whatever the name you're gonna provide when you create the account, your name will be shown up in here. This is my account number, my organization, and I'm gonna go in detail about the billing dashboard and the security credentials in our coming classes. Okay. Now here you see that N Virginia, and then there's a support. Since it's a free tier account, so it's a very limited support I can get, and we'll look into that in detail. What support is provided on enterprise account, what support is provided on a free tier account, or what support is provided by Amazon on a personal account. Okay. Here you see that N Virginia. If I drop it down, you guys remember we saw this thing US East 1A. If you guys remember, what was that? Does anybody remember US East 1? We recapped it.
AZ. AZ.
Yeah.
The region and the AZs.
Exactly. Yes. So this is a region, and this is an AZ. Okay. So right now I am by default set up myself as US East North Virginia. You might be set up for, some people might be seeing US East Ohio. If you are in the West Coast, you might be seeing North California. Outside US, you might be seeing something else. Whatever you are seeing, if you are in the US and Canada, pick US East North Virginia. Okay, even actually, let's put it this way. Everyone in this class who are right now logged into the console, or who are going to log into the console after you create your free tier account, just make sure that you default to North Virginia. So there's a reason behind, and I'll tell you in coming classes why I am asking you guys to do that. Okay, then you see US East Ohio. These two are the East regions in Amazon. North Virginia is the very first region where Amazon started their services, and then you have US West, North California. So these are the US regions, and then Africa, Asia Pac, Canada, Europe, Middle East, South America. So these are the regions I am seeing here. So I defaulted myself to US North Virginia. In an essence of time, I'm not gonna go in details in the EC2, but I want to go over this, go over more into the console with you guys. On the right hand side, this side of the page here, you are seeing explore AWS. This rectangle here, it has build faster application with GraphQL. You can click on it and it tells you how do you build faster application using the graph query language. Introducing new Amazon EKS console. Amazon is introducing new EKS console, and then Amazon SageMaker. So these are about the Amazon's new services, or if they have introduced any enhancement. Scroll down in here, they have the feedback here. Let me do one thing. I refresh the page. Now I see more different fields in here, or different values here. So Amazon SageMaker, they're talking about SageMaker or Amazon Proton or the backup services, and there's an AWS certification. Explore the resources available to help you prepare for your AWS cert. So I want you all to click on it, or maybe I can copy and paste the paste it in here. Right. Now it is you can schedule your exam, or it gives you more details about the foundation level certification up to specialty certification. If I expand on that, cloud practitioner, download exam guide and sample question, explore, read white papers, take exam, take practice. So download this. If you go in and download the exam guide, that will give you an understanding on that. There are some sample questions. Then explore the relevant trainings. So Amazon offers different trainings as well. Like we are training here. There is a paid training. There is some digital training as well, in English and in different languages as well. So you can explore more if you wanted to. Okay, and then read AWS white papers and FAQ. This is going to help you out in your exam. Study tip 1, 2, 3. Go click on those. Maybe now, maybe down the road. Once we are closing on. Closing to an end of our training, maybe 6th or 7th or 8th week, you might want to look into these white papers. There are some more white papers. You can click on it. These white papers are specifically to help you out in the foundation level AWS certification. Okay, and there's an exam readiness training, or you can take the practice exam, and then once you feel that you are ready, you can schedule the exam. Same goes with associate level certification. Similar thing. They have different types offering, so that's why it's different here. Specialty here, and or the professional level. So, and I pasted the link in the chat, so you might want to look into it. And these are the exam guides here. That what is going to be covered. What content is covered, multiple choice or multiple responses. And then several other things. What is covered in the cloud concepts. 26% is cloud concept, 25 is security compliance, technology, billing and pricing. Okay, so these are the domains. So I want you guys, whenever you get time, just look into that. That will help you better prepare yourself for the certification. I highly recommend everybody to go for certification, as I emphasized back last week and this week as well, asking you guys to go for that. Now I am going to let me stop recording here, and I'll open the floor for you guys for any questions. And also so I paused. I did not proceed on the EC2. That I'm going to start fresh on our coming on our next class, so that we will spend. I just want to ensure that everybody has access to the console, please. Okay. Alrighty. So the recording is